What's up, YouTube foil frothers? This is Quinn, or just the Wingtips, and to say thank you for hitting 100 subscribers, I'm going to bring to you a tips video on my favorite foil maneuver, so let's get right to it. Alright, let's get straight to the point, how to hit the whitewash. First tip, fully commit. Although this tip has nothing to do with technique, it is super important that you have this mindset, because if you're not fully committed to hitting the section and you're thinking of just testing it out, that's when the foil will flip and that's when you'll get injured. Once you're in that fully committed mindset, you can move on to the next tip, which is try. Every session, get some repetition, hit the foam 1, 2, 3 times, just gain confidence, and eventually you'll be hitting bigger and bigger, gnarlier sections, and you'll be surfing your foil to its fullest potential. That being said, the third tip is to start small. You're just going to want to find some sections that aren't too crazy, really mellow, just feel the foil out in the foam, the turbulence, and get comfortable. But when you do hit these smaller sections, you have to ensure that you're hitting the foam or you'll run the risk of sticking. Sticking is when the tail doesn't release in the turn and your body continues to try to force it, and that's when the board will flip and you'll be going face first towards the foil, which in my opinion is the most dangerous situation you could ever be in when hitting the foam. Aside from technique, two things that will minimize the risk of sticking is riding a smaller tail, that will give you more release in the foam, as well as hitting sections that aren't too weak. Another way to mitigate the risk of getting hurt when starting to hit the foam is to wear straps. Breaking this clip down here in slow motion, we can see I probably would have stuck if I didn't have straps there. It just gave me that extra leverage to continue to push through that turn. Next, let's move on to actual technique. So for this, we'll be breaking down this clip right here. First tip as far as technique is to start wide and hit the section vertically. Here you can see I'm well in front of the whitewash and it's almost like I'm taking an angle like I'm pumping back out. Next is the most crucial part of the turn, and that's going to be at the top here, getting that release. The release can almost be thought of as unweighting yourself. Similar to the top of a pump, when you're trying to get that efficiency, you're just trying to release all that weight and you'll see the wingtip come out of the water, and that's where the foil is free to move, and you're going to want to drive that back leg and push the foil through the turn so it can re-enter the whitewash in a straight line, and you just kind of stay compact with it and hope for the best and ride out of it. To demonstrate the release a little bit better, here's a little strapless air. I'm approaching the section and same thing, I'm going to get the release. Instead of hitting the foam, this time I'm popping the foil out of the water, but I'm still driving that back leg away from me so I can direct the foil in the direction I want to land. Unfortunately, as far as body position goes, I don't have the best land clips, so we're going to have to take some clips off of Instagram. Here in this clip we have Eric Antonsen from the Progression Project, just absolutely throwing it all out there with this clip. Although it isn't a make, I chose this clip in particular because it exaggerates a lot of the points I've touched upon. He's coming at this section fully committed, pretty vertical, and it just happens to be a crazy section, but he gets full release, tail out of the water. He's really driving that back leg and he's torquing his body to get that release, which is pretty crazy. I don't think anyone would have ridden out of this section strapless up to this point. But right here, getting that release, and he's going to kind of square up his shoulders and try to spot that landing, but just such a crazy section. Next we have Mike Pedego, or Flyline Productions, doing a textbook whitewash hit. Here he's just coming at this section again, full release. He's even sending it past where most people would probably feel comfortable, but he's squaring up those shoulders so he can just ride out of it super smooth. Also to mention, he's on the Kajira 1210, which is a bigger foil. And that leads to the next tip, which is ride what you're most comfortable on. Even if it's a high aspect or a bigger foil, you can still hit the foam on it. But rule of thumb is smaller wingspan or like mid-low aspect foils are better for the gnarlier sections. But you can still bang on a high aspect foil. Like I rode the Ono 175 Swift the other day, 37-inch wingspan, and was blown away how well it worked in the foam. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about backside foam hits. So essentially it's the same concept as a frontside foam hit. You're just going to have to do a different body position. I like to think of it as like a shortboard snap. you're going to really look over your shoulder and then try to crank that turn going vertical at 12 o'clock, pointing that nose up. Obviously, that's a little bit of an exaggeration for the average foiler, but here's some stylish turns to kind of show you the body position by my favorite foiler, Adam Bennett's, or Mr. Bennett's on Instagram. Just kills it. All right, I think that is enough of me talking. That was how to hit the foam on your foil. If you like this video, please share it around, like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Just the Wingtips, and keep on frothing. Yee.